Hello. I thought I'd try making another FPL challenge video. It's midway through game week 31. Just have had the first days of games, and I'm finding it quite fun, doing quite well, and I've got lots of thoughts that I thought I'd share as well. So yeah, doing quite well. Last minute I switched Isaac to Wood, which turned out nice. This is one of the things I like about the rolling knockout as well, is that you can kind of look at the lineups last minute. And I just looked at the Newcastle lineup and it had like Murphy, Longstaff, Anderson, no Trippier. It looked a bit dodgy, and I was like, I wasn't sure if I fancied Isaac in the end. And the story of like Nottingham Forest versus Fulham, Fulham's away form not very good, Nottingham Forest need the win. I thought, I'm just going to go for Wood. I just fancied it, and plus he's cheaper. And so that's turned out well. They've both got 8 points, so I've saved myself some money there. But the money side of it, 100 mil, is, I'm suddenly realising it's something to think about. Is a bit more difficult, especially if you want to use your bench for auto sub trickery and things. So that's quite tricky. I decided you probably would want to do that, because if you put all your money in your first 11, you get no rolls of the dice. Every player is just one roll of the dice for each slot, and yeah, so I fancied that I wanted to at least get a couple of rolls of the dice. And one of the things I was thinking is that if you're going to use your bench for rolls of the dice, it might be worth putting your early players having cheap punts, going cheap, because I was going to go for Son, and then I thought, well, I may as well go for some cheap punts, because I've got a second roll of the dice if this doesn't work out anyway. So I may as well go for cheap players, and if they work out, then suddenly, as it has yesterday, which is that suddenly now I can downgrade this player, and this player to just real cheap non-playing players to bring these two players on, auto sub them on, and I've got loads of money. The game's still playing, so I can now potentially upgrade some players, which I might. I mean, the only player I think I might upgrade is like Palmer. I could go to a Saka if I wanted to now. Although I think last time I thought about it, I might just stick with Palmer. I think Man United's defence is really bad, and I think Palmer's really good, central to everything Chelsea do. He's on penalties, but you know, an Arsenal mid is just as good. I could wait for the lineup, go for a Havertz or somebody, Martinelli, Saka, we'll see. But at the moment I think I'm going to stick with Palmer anyway. So the money situation is something to think about though. Yep. So that's worked out nice. I want to talk about the the auto sub situation, some strategy to do with that, and I also want to talk about this block defense thing, because I've had some thoughts about that, and some other thoughts. I mean, my team at the moment, one decision I need to make is whether to do switch the vice to whether I want to keep. I could just put the captain to one of these players, and if I do that, then at the end of the game he'll get transferred for Johnson. Johnson will come in there, and the captaincy will go to Wood. So I could keep Wood's points there, but I'm thinking I'm going to roll. I'm going to punt. I'm going to twist and put the captaincy on Haaland or Darwin. I think I'm going to go for Haaland, because it's Haaland, and because if Haaland and Darwin don't outscore Wood, then I'm probably not going to win. And it's all about winning for me at the moment. Like my head, I've just got it into my head that it's winning or nothing. I just want to try and win. So I want to get out of this way of thinking that I normally do in FPL of like just safe, just taking what I can, sticking with something safe. It's just you got to go all the way. So I think I'm going to twist and try and see if I can get, because if any forward gets a brace or more, they're probably going to win. Somebody's going to have them, and they're probably going to win. So I'm going to twist, I think, go for Captain Haaland. Pardon me. So that's what I'm going to do. And the team's looking good. So basically, look, if Arsenal keep a clean sheet, the only players I'm relying upon now are Haaland, Salah, Darwin and Palmer. That's just 4 players. If Arsenal get a clean sheet, that should be 4 sixes there. I've got an 8 and a 9 to come in. I've got a 16 there. And then I've just got these 4 more players to come through. So it's like looking quite good. But I am aware that it's quite a lottery to try and win this one, even if they come through. It's a long way to go, and it's quite a lottery. So this game's going to be like, you know, you're not going to win it. I'm not going to win it most weeks, but yep. Anyway, so the defense thing. What do I want to say about that? So the block defense thing. So you can do any strategy. You can get anybody you want in defense. And if you go back through previous teams of the week, it's quite often that you don't have, you know, block defenses. Usually the best defenders come from all over the place. They're not always from the same team. Sometimes they are. You've got a couple there, but then usually all over the shop. But I think it's at the moment the block defense sounds fine to do that. Sounds like a good strategy, because if you think of like two teams like Liverpool and Arsenal, imagine they got like a 50-50 chance of a clean sheet. If you've got half your defence at Arsenal and half your defence at Liverpool, you need both of them to get clean sheets. Of course, goals, you can get points from goals as well, but generally at the moment, clean sheets, you need both of them to get clean sheets. So that's 50% times by 50%. That's 1 in 4 chance now. You've just halved your chances of getting a full sweep of clean sheets now. So you may as well just go for one team all the way across, and it does mean that your team each game week will stand and fall on one clean sheet. It's not the only thing, but if Arsenal don't get a clean sheet, that's my game over. And every week I'm going to have one team that I'm going to bet on getting a clean sheet. And if they don't get it, it's game over. You know, with other players, one player who doesn't blanks, you might still have a chance. But to be honest, it's probably the same with everybody. Like, even a player who blanks, there's going to be somebody who's got all 11 returns for all 11 players. So that's the way it is. It's a lottery. It's very, very. It's going to be really hard to win, obviously. So yeah, going all in on the defence though. So, but then the thing about that is that if you're going to do that, if you're going to bet, so Arsenal getting a clean sheet, I may as well assume that they've got it already. So things like these two players here, I could get rid of these two, Brennan Johnson and Aït-Nouri on my bench. I could get rid of these two players and bring them on and actually play another midfielder player rather than Ben White or whoever my Arsenal defender is, because there's probably more upside in an Arsenal midfielder than an Arsenal defender. But if I have this mindset of like, well, he's got a guaranteed 6 points. So if he doesn't get it, it's game over. But if he gets it, I'm still in the game. So I may as well just assume he's got a 6-pointer there. If that logic is right. So why don't I... Because if I go for an attacker, there's no guarantee the points will come from Havertz or Martinelli or Saka. It's I'm running a risk, but I could just you put all your eggs in that clean sheet basket then. So he's a guaranteed 6-pointer, so I may as well just keep that and do these two players. Do these two, this defender and this midfielder, and bring Johnson and Aït-Nouri on there. So there's that kind of logic. And sometimes I find that when you assume that the clean sheet is already banked, if you like, imagine somebody told you beforehand, before the game week, this team that you're thinking of clean sheet in, getting a clean sheet, they get it. Imagine if you knew that information beforehand, and then how would your decisions change? Like, would you just go for 4 at the back and the keeper, just like the winner did last time with just 4 Aston Villa defenders and the keeper? Like, maybe you would, and I probably would. You know, obviously this 5th defender here was just a punt. You just give it, and if he does well, then I can do 3 and him, because he got an 8-pointer. It's just a punt, really. If he had got 6, I probably wouldn't have bothered. Well, I might have done. Who knows? But so yeah. So that's one thing to think about. The back line. So that's that. That is all of that. Oh, the other thing I did as well was, so the keeper. I was going to go for Sarr. You know, you may as well have a punt on some other random keeper before going for the Arsenal ones, because if he does well and if he gets and you may as well go for a cheap random punt who might get one of those like 12-pointers or something. Sometimes these keepers who are from lower teams but they happen to get a clean sheet and save loads of saves, that's when you get these massive monster hauls. You may as well have a punt on one of those. But I didn't this time, again, because of the money. The money was tight, and I was thinking, if these players don't come through, if these two hadn't come through, I would have had to play probably I would have wanted another punt there, maybe a Havertz there. If that one doesn't come through, I'm going to want a Luis Diaz or a McAllister or somebody there, and a Bradley there or something. I still want more money for punts, so I was trying to anticipate that, and so I didn't want 2 5 mil keepers. It was a waste, so I ended up just sticking Kelleher there for 3.8, but then obviously he plays second, so I may as well just put Raya there. May as well just do it in that order, because who knows, maybe Raya will get sent off or something, and they'll still keep a clean sheet, but it'll get sent off. Who knows what will happen? So yeah, I will do that, but it's very likely that Kelleher will just become a non-playing player if Arsenal keep a clean sheet. Burping. So that's that. And so I want to talk about the Autosub thing. I'm not going to move my camera this time because I can't be bothered to set it up. I tried doing something with this. I found some kind of thing, but it's not really ideal. But I wanted to talk about the Autosubs. I'm just trying to get my head around it because I don't know. I find things like this fascinating to try and figure out the strategy and the logic of it all. And so this was just some ways I was trying to think about it. So the first way to think about it, so as I said last time, so the goalkeeper's a standalone. You just got 2 goalkeepers, you got 2 rolls of the dice, put your first playing keeper first, second one second. If keeper 1 does well on the bench, just get rid of your second keeper. Yeah, this isn't going to work on this thing, but just get rid of this second keeper, and he'll auto sub on. But if he does badly, play your second keeper. So that's nice and easy. So in this scenario, I was just trying to get a think of it. So one of the formations you can do, you can have all 3 midfielders on your bench. If you have a formation like this of 5 defence, 3 forwards, and 2 mids, this doesn't break the formation rules. You can have 3 mids on the bench, and in this scenario, you've basically got 4 rolls of the dice at 1 slot. Because if he does well, then you can cross off this one, cross off this one, cross off this one, just sell them all to non-playing players, and he'll go into that slot. If he does badly, you have another try with this guy. And the same thing, if he does well, cross this one on, cross that one off, he'll go in. And if he does badly, you get another try. So you get all these. You got 4 tries at one thing. If he does well, and then you roll the dice with this one, and he does badly, you now can't get to this guy, because if you cross that one off and cross that one off, it's going to bring him into the team rather than him. So it's effectively, you've got 4 rolls of the dice at 1 slot when you do it like that. But if you look at this, so basically you can use the formation rules to effectively, it's like giving yourself 2 benches. This is where I'm starting to see it. It's like giving yourself a second bench. So in this scenario, if you have 3 at the back, and then you can either have 5 midfielders and 2 forwards, or 4 midfielders and 3 forwards. This forward midfield slot is the one that goes there, and it's like having 2 benches, because basically this allows you 3 rolls of the dice at 1 slot, and this is 2 rolls of the dice at 1 slot here as well. So back over here you had 4 rolls of the dice for 1 slot, whereas here you're getting a total of 5 rolls of the dice now for 2 slots, which is better. I mean, obviously, ideally, you'd want to have 2 rolls of the dice for 3 different slots. If that was possible, that would be 6 rolls of the dice. 2 rolls of the dice for 3 different spots. But I don't believe that's possible. I haven't figured it out yet. I don't think it is. But this is probably the best you can get, because you can use the formation rules to force this, so that if defender 1 does well, you can get rid of him, get rid of this defender and that defender, and he'll go in. If he does badly, you got another shot here. If he does well, he goes in. Get rid of him and he goes in. And if he does badly, you got your 3rd shot. You get 3 shots at 1 slot. And if the forward does badly in this one, then it doesn't affect it, because if you get rid of that defender there, it's not going to put that forward in that place, because the defender, the formation rules will force the defender in. So this is why it's like creating a two benches. Doesn't matter what that forward does. If you get rid of that third defender, then it starts here. It starts here on your second bench. I think that's the easiest way to look at it. So you basically just have 3 chances that slot, and this one, whether you put your mid or your forward there, you just have you can arrange that, and you have 2 rolls of the dice at that slot. So that's that, and you can also do it with the forwards, because the forwards are the same. They have the formation rules, and in this instance, you don't put your defender first. You put the forwards, your defender first. You don't put your defender last. Sorry, you put your forwards last, because you want to use the formation rules to force them to jump over this player. So you need to have 1 forward is the rule. And so if you get rid of that forward, it doesn't matter what this defender does. It's just going to jump to that player. It's going to force that player in. So basically, again, you get free rolls of the dice with your forward. I'm not sure when you'd ever use this. I mean, there might be a challenge one time where you have you're only allowed 1 forward or something. I don't know, but anyway, it's something you might want to think about. But I'm just trying to get my head around it. And then the other slot here is just you've got 2 rolls of the dice with this slot. It's a mid or a defender. Doesn't matter what order you do those. 2 rolls of the dice with 1 slot, 3 rolls of the dice with that slot. This is the way that I'm feeling like is the best. This makes sense to me. Defenders are quite hard to get points from. Although, the other thing is, if you're assuming a clean sheet, then maybe this isn't the best way to do it. Because if your whole game hangs and falls on a clean sheet, then you may as well just assume you've got the clean sheet already. In which case you just go full on defence. I mean, unless it's Arsenal and there's good attacking options as well. Then I mean maybe not. Maybe you can still get a clean sheet like that and then get some Arsenal attacking options if you want, if they're good as well. And then these are just you got 2 attempts at 2 other teams who might be better, and you could just get 2 Arsenal and then an extra, or whoever you think is going to clean sheet, and then an extra one here if these 2 do better. So I do like that. It's just easier on my brain, that kind of formation. But the one that I was talking about yesterday, the one that article that talked about saying that this was the most efficient way. The more I think about it, it's kind of tricky to think about. I can't quite get my head around this one, how it works, so I'm still kind of stuck. But so this is the way I've got it lined up at the moment. I've got a defender, mid, and the way I was talking about it last time. So you got all your Arsenal defence, let's say, something like that. Basically, if the defender does well, you need, in order to get that defender in the team, you have to get rid of defender 3 and defender 4. You have to get rid of 2 players in order to force that defender in. Or you get rid of these 2 here. You could just get rid of these 2 and then it would force that defender in for any of these positions. But it's like, so if that defender does well, you also need, if you're going to get rid of these 2 players to force them in, you also need either this one to do well or this one to do well. And it's like a pair. And so I'm just kind of thinking the odds of getting a defender who does well and getting one of these 2, it just feels like the odds are slightly lower, even though it's worked out well for me this time. It might not normally. But yeah, so you do that, and if he doesn't do well, if both of these 2 mids don't do well, you've kind of lost that defender now. You can't force that defender on without bringing one of these 2 on. You can't do it. It has to go in a pair. And now, what was I saying? So yeah, no, it doesn't necessarily have to be those 2 though, does it? Because what I've just done this game week is he's done well, so I've crossed this one off and this one, put them in those 2 positions because I'm banking on an Arsenal clean sheet. But if he hadn't have done well, I'd have had another roll of the dice here, which would have been awkward this game week because I probably would have wanted to have gone for, because Arsenal were playing on day 2, and this is my day 2, so they would have had to play at the same time. So I don't know what I would have done there. would I have crossed one of those off? Probably not. I would have let this one play. These two would have been from day 4 probably, or day 3, yeah, because that one's day 2 technically. So these would have been from day 3, and then if that had worked out, then I would have got rid of those two. Don't know. But this method feels a little bit more confusing. I'm not quite sure I understand if it's the optimal way to do it or not. And it seems to depend on, you have to get a pair rather than, you can't just do one. Now, one way of thinking about it, another way I was thinking about it, is to almost forget this defender option. Just imagine you got the clean sheet, you're banking on the clean sheet, 4 defenders. Yeah, you might get lucky, like I have. You might get lucky, so you may as well play it. But really, if you just think of this slot, this midfielder slot, and you're just going for 3 chances at one slot there, that's one way of thinking about it. So just forget that defender for a second and just imagine that that's what you're doing with this strategy. You got 1 attempt there. If he doesn't do well, you got another attempt, and if he doesn't do well, you got that attempt there. 3 attempts at one slot. You got the clean sheet. You're just banking on that clean sheet anyway, and then this is just a bonus. This defender's just a bonus. If he does well, and one of these two do well, then great. You've got an extra defender and the midfield slot. It's that kind of thing. Yeah. So, yeah, that is one way of thinking about it. And if the defender does badly, it doesn't matter. If he does well, it's just a bonus. But then if that's the case, you've really got 3 chances at one slot. Is really, and plus a bonus. Whereas over here you got 5 rolls of the dice here. 3 on one slot, or this one. 3 on one slot and 2 on another. So I don't know. These are all different strategies. I haven't got my head around it all yet. I don't know whether I want to talk about that other thing I was saying yesterday as well, with like, if you find yourself in that situation where this player does well, should you get rid of this player to force this one on? And I was thinking, no, you may as well just play that one as well and try and get the pair, because if they don't work, then you've got another pair to play afterwards anyway. I won't get into that now. So, but anyway, that's just basically some ways of thinking about it again that I'm just trying to get my head around. Yeah, if you start with just like all the mids, that's how it works. 4 rolls of the dice at one slot, or you can use the formation rules to force your bench to split into 2 parts, and you put whatever's being forced. If you're forcing the defender formation rules, then you put the defenders at the back. And if you're using the forward formation rules, you put the forwards at the end, and always in reverse chronological order. And it doesn't matter, like they're separate benches, so it's just as long as this one is before that one and that one, those 3 are all in 1, 2, 3 like that. It doesn't actually matter. That could be 3 and 4 there, but so that's kind of ways of thinking about it. I know I'm thinking too much about it, and everybody thinks I'm a geek, but I just like trying to understand things. I don't like not understanding things. I like getting my head on top of things and be like, that's how it works. So yeah, I haven't figured this one out yet. Anyway, and then the captaincy thing, yeah, I said that about the captaincy yesterday. So like for me this week, because I've got people on my bench who I want to bring in, I can, if I wanted to keep Wood as my vice captain, I can just put my captain onto one of these, and then when the auto sub works, that captaincy will automatically move to the vice. Bell will take the captaincy to the bench, and the vice will get it. But if I had a bad bench, all of a sudden you might have a choice, because you're probably not going to want to play with 10 players. So in that instant, unless your vice captain just absolutely smashes that out the park, then you're probably going to want to switch your captain, because you don't want to play with 10 players if you want to win it. If you're not bothered about winning it, then don't worry about it. Just do your best. Yeah. I also do wonder whether I should be sharing all these tips if I want to win it. I always think that with the main FPL as well. Like, what am I doing here? Am I trying to win the game, or am I? Because by sharing all my tips, I'm going to help everybody else to win. Nobody watches these videos anyway, so I don't really care. And I kind of want to. I want to create more interest in the challenge game, because it's I find it quite interesting, this game. I think at the moment I'm finding it more interesting than the main game. So, but I think that's all my thoughts. Yeah, The team of the week so far is on 98 points, which seems really high. But the winner at the moment, the one who's winning at the moment, has got loads of like blanks in his team. He's already used all his team, so I don't think anybody's going to hit that nail on the head that much. So I think there's still a long way to go yet. Yep, I think that's all my thoughts. Just a little babbly one. I wanted to get some thoughts out. Okay. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.